Alright guys, we are back with our next video. So this is for the pop art video that we started last week. So this week we are going to be coloring it. So what you're going to need to do is pick some complementary colors. So if you don't remember that, your complementary colors are together right now. So red and green, purple and yellow, and blue and orange. So with complementary colors, they are called complementary because they usually look really good together. So you probably even recognize two of them here, the red and green, as big holiday colors for Christmas. So they are used a lot in things like holidays and commercials and advertisements and things like that, just because they really look good together and they pop. So, and that's part of pop art, is getting stuff to pop and look really vibrant. So we're going to be using markers. If you do not have markers, then you are welcome to use either colored pencils or crowns, but please make sure you're still coloring this nicely. I want to go over some stuff on coloring with markers. So let's say that we did have a shape that we were coloring in. If you are coloring this messy and you're just kind of like going all over the place, it is not going to look good with markers. So if you're just like going over the top again and again, it's just going to put more color there and it's going to get darker and darker. So anywhere you overlap, you're gonna see that it is getting a little darker. So your goal when using markers is to actually keep the lines kind of close together. So instead of using the marker at the tip, you want to hold it over on the side some, so it's at an angle, and then just line up each marker stroke next to each other, filling it in nicely. Now I know that this isn't going to give you a perfectly filled in shape, especially if that shape is circular. So there are going to be times where you need to just like touch up little areas around, but this is going to look still a lot nicer than this. And this is what you want to have when you are coloring with markers. So just make sure that you're being careful about that. I want to see some nice marker coloring. So remember, this is our sad face and this is our happy face. So make sure that you're practicing to use markers this way. So if we look over here at our example, I had to do this again, so hopefully hopefully it's all done now. I used blue and orange as two. So what you're going to be doing is using the same complementary across from each other. So I used blue in the apple here, and then I used orange in the apple down here. So you're just trying to use those two complementary colors in these two areas across from each other in different ways. And it should be different either way because your background should be pretty different. So I'm going to, I think I want to use red and green for this one. So I'm going to switch over to red and green. So I already chose blue and orange. And now in these two spots, I will put red and green in both of these. So all I'm going to do is start, I guess I'll just start with red. So remember, you do not have to be coloring things realistic colors, because realistically there are no blue apples, or I don't believe there are, and there's probably not any real orange apples. Now yes, there are red apples of course, but you don't have to use realistic colors. You are just coloring this using a complementary color scheme. So I'm going to take my time and fill it in. You cannot rush much with this stage. So a lot of people usually even find this kind of calming because it's just a single stroke at a time. Now, when I first started using markers, I hated markers because they never looked the way that I wanted them to. So just remember, it does take time to learn and you have to practice. You're not going to be super duper amazing at the very start, or you probably won't be, and that's fine. Just take your time. And even if all you learn from this using markers is that you never want to use markers again, that is okay too. You just gotta practice. Some people will find out that markers are their most favorite thing to color with, and some people will hope that we never have to use them again. Alright, so we got some red in there. I'm gonna switch to the complementary color for red, which is green. I'm trying to do this while holding my phone at the same time, so if I get off a little bit, bear with me. So in these little circular areas, it might be a little more difficult, but that's okay. Just take your time. I am seeing some really good submissions here lately, but just remember to make sure you are watching these videos, because that's the only way you're going to know how to do it the correct way. And believe me, I can tell when you're not watching these videos. So with the background, we're going to go with the red and green as well in the background. Let's see. I could probably turn our paper some. And then, kind of at an angle again, just fill it in the best we can. And touch up any areas you miss. And I'm going to skip, so I'm going to go red, green. You could always, switch between each marker one at a time. I feel like that takes a little more time doing it that way, because you have to snap on the marker's lid and then take the lid off of the marker again and again. But again, it's up to you. I hope this video comes out nice. I had to switch everything up pretty last minute, so. This video isn't going to be super long because it is just about using markers the correct way. So just to make sure you know to take your time. Now, if you are working on a surface that you don't want to get marker or crown on, what you can always do, and I should have been doing this already, is have just a scrap piece of paper. It doesn't have to be white. It can be any old piece of paper you have, and just put it under the edge of your paper. That way, if you do go off, which is more likely with marker here, you won't have to worry about making any messes on your tables. Alright, so we got the green done. Always remember, snap that lid on, because if you don't get it snapped, it is going to dry out. Alright, let's get our red back out. So your goal here is to just get everything colored in. Now, I know some people still put tons and tons and tons of lines and details in the background. If you were one of those people, that's fine. You might have smaller areas to color in though. So if you have smaller areas, you're probably not going to want to have your marker at an You're probably not going to want to have your marker at an angle. You might need to hold it up a little straighter depending on the amount of space you have in your areas that you're coloring. So I like to do it like that and then fill in the tops and bottoms. Because you'll probably end up with some sort of like triangle openings in places. And just one little stroke to fill it in. Alright, we're almost there. You could also kind of curve around. Your big goal here with markers is to just be careful that there's not much overlap, because when there is a lot of overlap, it's gonna start to make the color look very different. Oops. So if you have some accents like I have here where I went over a little bit into the orange area, you can always like try to turn your paper a little bit more so you can get your marker at a better angle against that line. So I should have been doing that. But you'll learn as you're going to. So it looks a little Christmassy because those red and green colors, but now all we have is that last one. So you just need to be sure, again, you will be picking two color schemes, two complementary color schemes. So again, mine were blue and orange and they need to be across from each other. And then I chose red and green for these two. So you're gonna have one color scheme that you don't use, so make sure that you are leaving that one alone. You just want it like this. So all I have to do at this point is finish with my red and green marker in this top rectangle and my work will be all done. So that is what we are doing this week, guys. If you do not have markers, again, you're just going to use crowns. You need to make sure that you are coloring nicely if you end up having to use crowns or colored pencils. We talked about blending with colored pencils. You probably won't need it because you need to stick with these more vibrant primary and secondary colors. So pick two complementary colors. Hopefully you have marker and get it all colored. Take a picture and send it to me on Schoology, or if you have your name on it, you can show it to me during our meeting day and I can see if I can get a grade in for you if there's time. So I hope you enjoy this and I can't wait to see how beautiful your art turns out. Bye guys.